Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Warwick, the Uncaged Wrath of Zaun. Now let's get this out of the way first. I really hope Warwick is Vander from Arcane. There's a couple pieces of evidence indicating he taught Vi how to fight, and remembers Jinx from before Singed experiments. Even in canon lore, he was a reformed Zaunite gangster before Singed got a hold of him. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait for a Season 2 to confirm this, but it seems pretty likely that Singed got Vander's body and went to town on him, turning him into the monster we know and love today. All that being said, canonically, Warwick was created by Singed through grotesque experimentation and chemical torture. When Singed let him loose originally, Warwick had no control of himself and was satiating his need to hunt on anyone he came across. His memory slowly returned to him through the haze and let him focus his fury and chemically induced bloodlust on only those who had shed blood themselves. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and the dogs chasing cars. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Leonin. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max strength and dump intelligence. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in strength, dexterity, and wisdom. Our leveling path is going to be 8 levels in Barbarian, a 4-level dip in Ranger, and then 8 levels in Fighter. Warwick's passive, Eternal Hunger, is going to come from Colossus Slayer and Form of the Beast. Our Q, Jaws of the Beast, will be Form of the Beast with lunging attack for some range. His W, Blood Hunt, comes from Hunter's Mark and Zephyr Strike. Our E, Primal Howl, is going to come from Daunting Roar and Rage. And finally, we'll get our ultimate, Infinite Duress, from Bestial Soul, Form of the Beast, Trip Attack, and Second Wind. For race, we're going with Leonin. Now I know that Warwick looks much more like a wolf than a lion, but unfortunately there is no lupine race yet in D&D, and several of the features this race have work perfectly with Warwick. We'll start with the origin ability score increase from Tasha's, and increase our strength by 2 and our dexterity by 1. Next is one of the main reasons we're picking this race, Claws. These are natural weapons, dealing 1d4 plus your strength and slashing damage. Hunter's Instincts is going to give us proficiency in our athletics, which we'll use to enhance our leaping ability. Daunting Roar is going to give us the fear portion of our E, letting us use an action to let out a roar, forcing a wisdom save on all creatures within 10 feet of you, making them frightened of you until the end of your next turn. For background, we're going with Haunted One. Though Warwick is a terrifying creature, the suffering he's endured endears others to him, which is a direct translation of the Heart of Darkness feature. On top of that, we'll pick up skill proficiencies in Investigation and Survival. For stats, we're going to balance out Singed's chemical alterations with the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep at least a 13 in Strength, Dexterity, and Wisdom for multi-classing purposes. We're starting with Strength first. We need our claws tearing through steel and our enemies. After that, we'll go with Wisdom so we can get our Blood Hunt going strong. Dexterity is going to be next for the quickness we need to hunt down our enemies. Constitution will be after that because surviving Singed's experiments means ours must be pretty hardy. Charisma is going to be average, unfortunately, because Warwick is terrifying, but we need the other stats more. And we'll dump Intelligence, which is fair because he's a beginner champion for a reason. And since we don't need any equipment, we'll jump right into our class levels, starting with a level in Barbarian. Barbarians have a d12 hit die and give us proficiency with a bunch of stuff we don't need, and Intimidation and Nature. What we do need from Barbarians is the damage reduction from our E with the Rage mechanic. Rage is going to let us succumb to our Bloodlust as a bonus action, giving us advantage on our strength checks and saves, some bonus damage on our claws, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. We're also going to get a thick hide with some unarmored defense, giving us an AC of 10 plus our Dex mod and Con mod. Second level Barbarians learn to recklessly attack, giving you advantage on your attacks, but giving everyone advantage against you as well. On top of that, we'll pick up Danger Sense, giving us advantage on Dex saves against spells and effects as long as we can see them coming. Level 3 Barbarians commit themselves to a Primal Path to guide their rages. We're obviously going with Path of the Beast to lean into the many animals that Warwick is comprised of. Form of the Beast is going to enhance our already bestial form when we enter rages. You can only pick one each time, so keep that in mind. Bite is going to give our jaws a little more bite. We'll be able to deal 1d8 piercing damage, and once per turn when we land this bite, we can heal ourselves for whatever your proficiency bonus is at the time, as long as you have less than half your hit points when you do. Now, is this restriction to only working below half health dumb? Absolutely. Are we going to look this gift werewolf in the mouth? Absolutely not. The other option we'll sometimes use is our claws, which will deal 1d6 damage now instead of 1d4, and plus we get one additional claw attack as part of the same attack action. Meaning once we get extra attack, we can attack with these claws 3 times per attack action. 4th level barbarians gain the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we're going to break down all of your options so you can pick and choose what you'd like when. At Barbarian 4, we're going with the Athlete feat to give us some additional leaping power, and a +1 to our strength score. For Barbarian 8, our hit point total is going to take a bump with the Tough feat, giving us 2 additional health points per character level, giving us 40 at max level. Then at Ranger 4, we'll max our strength with 2 points. After that, at Fighter 4, 6, and 8, we'll bump our Constitution each time, giving us a nice and juicy 253 hit point health pool by max level. Level 5 Barbarians get extra attack, letting us make 2 claw attacks per attack action instead of just 1. 3 if you're using claws as your form of the beast. We'll also bump our base movement speed by 10 feet thanks to fast movement. 6th level Beast Barbarians unleash their bestial soul, giving us passive benefits that we can technically change once per rest, but we'll always want jumping. Jumping is going to let us make an athletics check and add that total rule to our jump distance, meaning we'll be able to long jump a minimum of 23 feet and a maximum of 40 feet by max level. Level 7 Barbarians unlock their feral instincts, giving you advantage on initiative rolls and the option to act during surprise rounds of combat as long as you're willing to enter your rage as the first act you take on that turn. Depending on how initiative rolls out, you often get to act before the person initiating the combat, which is huge. Alrighty, time to swap over to Ranger to improve our hunting skills and pick up some extra damage as well. Rangers have a d10 hit die and give us proficiency in perception. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, you'll know that I don't love the player's handbook version of the Ranger. Tasha's was the best thing to happen to this class, and I will die on that hill. All that to say, we'll be utilizing Deft Explorer and Favored Foe here. Deft Explorer is going to give us expertise and athletics, letting us double our proficiency bonus for it, and Favored Foe is going to let us mark a creature when we hit it, dealing an extra d4 of damage once per turn, including the turn we mark it. This is also like the passive damage on our passive, but Colossus Slayer is going to do more and more consistently, so that's why I mentioned it in the build preview instead of this. 2nd level Rangers learn a fighting style. We're going to borrow some power from our Druid brothers with the Druidic Warrior style, giving us access to the Primal Savagery cantrip. This will let us sharpen our teeth and deliver a strike, dealing 1d10 acid damage, which scales with level. By max level, this cantrip will do way more damage than your claws at 4d10, so keep it in mind, though you can't use it while raging unfortunately. Speaking of things we can't do while raging, 2nd level Rangers also get spellcasting. Zephyr Strike is a spell that lasts for a minute, giving us the ability to ignore opportunity attacks while we maintain concentration, meaning we can run right by the tanky support and leap right on the vulnerable ADC. On top of that, we can give ourselves advantage on one attack we make, making it deal an extra 1d8 force damage and boosting our speed by 30 feet until the end of our turn. This works for our W, because it'll give us the gap closer we need and the ability to avoid obstacles on the way to our target. The tracking portion of our W will be handled by the other spell we pick up this level, Hunter's Mark. Now, Hunter's Mark is like Favored Foe, letting us mark a creature and add an extra 1d6 damage to our attacks, but it's improved by giving us advantage on perception and survival checks to track the marked creature as well, meaning when we start that blood trail, we're going to find and follow it right to its source, no problem. Level 3 Rangers choose their Ranger archetype. We have a couple good choices here, but we're going with Hunter, which just feels on flavor, and is also going to give us the passive damage we're looking for on our passive ability. Hunter is going to give us Hunter's Prey, which is a set of features to choose from to increase our damage in certain scenarios. Colossus Slayer is going to give us an additional 1d8 damage once per turn, as long as the creature we hit isn't at full health before we hit it. Alrighty, we're heading over to Fighter to try and focus this ball of fur and fury and turn him into a real menace on the battlefield. Fighters keep a nice d10 hit die and give us a new fighting style to learn. We're going to pick up Superior Technique to give ourselves an extra superiority die and a Battlemaster maneuver, which we'll talk more about at Fighter 3. Our final level 1 fighter feature is Second Wind, which is going to let us heal back 1d10 plus our fighter level as an action once per rest. Please don't forget to use it before spending your hit die on a short rest. Thank me later. Second level fighters get Action Surge, letting you take 2 actions on your turn instead of 1. We're going to use this along with a few other things to get our ultimate. Start by ensuring you're raged and your form of the beast is set to Claw. Leap at your target using the extra leaping ability from Bestial Soul, then apply Trip Attack, knocking the creature prone. Use your 2 remaining claw attacks, then Action Surge and do 3 more. Use your bonus action as Second Wind to heal while dealing the damage for full effect. And remember, all 5 of your post-Trip Attack attacks have advantage since the target is prone, so we're going to see lots of damage here. Now at Fighter 3, we're going to pick up our Martial Archetype. I let the cat out of the bag earlier, so you all know we're going Battlemaster. Battlemaster is going to give us a pool of d8 superiority die, of which we'll have 5. These superiority die power our Battlemaster maneuvers, which are a series of techniques we can use to enhance our attacks. The main 2 we're concerned with is Lunging Attack for our Q and Trip Attack for our ultimate. Lunging Attack is going to give us an extra 5 feet of range to our strike, adding whatever we roll on the die to the damage we deal. Trip Attack will let us force a strength save on a creature we hit with an attack, forcing them prone if they fail. Then level 7 Battlemasters learn Know Your Enemy, but it's not really Warwick specific, so we're going to skip talking about it. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. Warwick's leaping skills makes Morpheus's building jump look like someone skipping over a puddle. Also, we have a healing bite when we're raging, and a melty rabies bite when we're not. On top of that, you are an absolute unit, with 253 hit points, and rage damage reduction on top. Now the bad. Using Leonin instead of having a Lupine race is a little depressing, but I blame that on wizards, not us. Also, our claws only deal 1d4 slashing damage. You can take the unarmed fighting style if you want, but ideally your DM will give you some armored claws to improve your damage a bit. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as some Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.